Aren't you? Layout meeting, you know. Pressing the button, Mrs. Ryan.
Okay. Cool.
Stories, Mike.
Yeah.
Yeah, she says.
Yeah. It sounded so breathy, so throaty.
Yeah, it did.
Hello.
What's happening, Mrs.
Howdy.
Ryan? Welcome back. Welcome back. Boy,
Yeah.
I feel like we haven't been in here in a year and a half.
I know. A couple of days. It's like a year for me. Woo.
But it's been more than that. It's been almost a week because we worked all weekend and then we took the first 2 days off. You know what I'm saying? We were here Thursday and today's
Yeah.
Wednesday. It's almost a week.
Cobwebs.
Cobwebs, yeah, for sure. Hello. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Today is Wednesday, March 6th, 2019. Our guest today is Michael Senderovich. Road Stories Mike, for the rest of you who might know Road Stories podcast. He's here to talk to us today, and we are excited. I just met him a few minutes ago in the other room, and he seems like a very pleasant young man. We seem to see eye to eye on a bunch of stuff already, so
Yeah.
I think if anything, it'll just be maybe a kindred spirits getting to know one another type of thing.
Yeah, it was super comfy when he walked in. I've never met him either.
Oh, cool. Mrs. Ryan, how the hell are you doing? It's been forever, as we said.
I'm feeling better, which means that I had a cold. I found out myself.
Yeah.
So I'm feeling
Well, the
better.
energy was down, of course, but I also from so much stuff last week. I mean, holy crow. Holy
Yeah.
crow. Holy
Holy-
crap and cow.
holy
cow
crow.
crap.
Holy crow. But yeah, I'm feeling better. My energy's evened out. It was just really wonky for a couple of days, and I was like, no, I'm
Yeah.
fine. Because it's like when you're on a boat in the ocean, you feel fine.
When you work 6-7 days a week, for anybody, that's generally a lot. And then if you've got other stuff to deal with as well, it's just too much, man.
Well, at least I'm picking up on it a little faster these days.
For sure, for sure. And I am very happy to be back with you. I've missed doing this. It's been fun lately.
Same.
So I've missed having fun. No, I don't mean that at all. We had a great time. Let us get into a bunch of videos, though, because things have, what do you call that, stockpiled? The things have backed up
Stockpiled.
a little bit.
Yeah.
But very specifically, I want to get to our good friend, Ray Shaffer. We have it's not a new segment. It's kind of the same segment, but I think we finally found a name for it.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I think so. Let's see. Is this it? Oh, that's not it. That's not it. No, that's not it at all. I'm looking at it. Where is it? I mean, it's here. There we go. Ready? There we go. That's the one.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Backstage Pass with Ray Shaffer. Roll it out.
AJ and Nicole here at Brother Moto on a Sunday morning. Wanted to show you some of the pre-Amelia Island, what's going on with the safari car scene here in Atlanta. Let's take a look. What happens when the mountains of North Georgia are not far from downtown Atlanta. You get guys with cars like that that like to take them out and get them dirty. Pretty cool 911s. What do you think, Jay and Nicole? Have a great show.
Man, I love that guy.
How do you not love Ray Shaffer?
I mean,
Ray, just play along Schaefer. I mean, look how good he's getting at that already. It's only his second contribution, and already, like, the production value's better. His performance is better. Yeah, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
One, thank you so much to Ray Shaffer. I can't tell you how much that means to both Mrs. Ryan and myself. It has very little to do with the fact that, it's a cute video. It's the fact that you're doing it for us. To have your seal of approval and, whatever, just to have you in our corner means a heck of a lot to us, and we are very excited to take this ship someplace.
Totally.
Yeah.
And how neat to debut stuff like that. Like,
Super
that's where
cool.
you can find it. And it's such a neat, like, peek into the East Coast side of stuff.
Absolutely. Very similar things to the stuff that we do and the way we live our lives, but they're, it's just another little alcove. What other people doing in Atlanta.
Yeah.
It's cool to see the Porsche community, too, right next to Porsche headquarters.
Totally.
You know what I mean? To kind of see what they're doing over there. Mm-hmm. People consider L.A. kind of the Los Angeles capital of Porsche dumb. And I would agree with that just from a, per numbers capita type thing. But it's hard to compete with the actual headquarters right over there in Atlanta.
Yeah. Different vibe. Different group of people.
In the best way,
Different numbers game.
So that was just wonderful. All right,
Thanks,
now,
dude.
you probably saw one of the things. Let's now go over to Richfield BMW.
Okey
check
doke.
in with Danbury Chive, Steve Kaz, and hanging around Dell. Roll it out.
Ryan, Brooks inside, Kazman outside. Because I figured you'd want to see the Winter Wonderland. Look at this. It's beautiful. There's, I don't know, 6-8 inches, some shit like that last night. We drove up from Long Island. We're here now. Nobody's going to show up because no one shows up at the car places when it's just fucking cold and horrible and snowy. So anyway, that was it. Just want to give you love while you guys enjoy the nice warm weather. We'll be here, freezing our asses off as per usual, on the East Coast. Bye.
You gotta love him.
Speaking the truth about the car business on the East Coast.
I mean, it really is. It's like, wow, we gotta do it, but it doesn't make any sense. I mean, it's so great. There's a little behind the scenes for you, too.
That's how it
I
goes
think,
some days.
a long time ago, that guy and I, keep in mind, everyone knows this, but for any new viewers, I've been friends with that guy since I was 18 years old. When I used to work, my dad had just died, and I got a job working at Saturn, the car company Saturn. And that's where we met. He was selling Saturns. And he was only 20 years older. You know what I mean? We were so close.
The time.
But anyway, so we've been friends for that long. I don't even remember why I started telling that story. What the hell? Oh, the snow. We used to do that shit. We used to have to do all that stuff. But more specifically, we wrote a bunch of 18-year-old, maybe 20 at that point, a couple years in. We wrote a pilot. Watching Seinfeld, and they wrote a pilot, and you know what I mean. And we wrote a pilot called Car Biz about the car industry. It was going to be like a sitcom about the car industry. We never did it because we were children. But the concept still to this day is good, and it may even be better now because everything's so transparent. It's almost like we couldn't have done it way back when because the car industry mafia would have shut us down.
Yeah.
But nowadays, everything's a little bit more like transparent is the only way I can think to say it. You know?
I mean, he's told me stories that are far better than any of the structured stuff you guys had put together. It's like that's just what it is now.
If anybody wants a good car,
Hilarious.
Premise show, we'll do it for you, no problem.
Yeah.
Meanwhile,
stories.
one last thing to get to for me.
Yeah.
We need to go down to Orange County, down to Paul Kennel and the Auto Kramers, and do an ouchie update. Roll it out.
Howdy, Mr. and Mrs. Ryan. This is Paul Kennel from Behind the Orange Curtain. Tortuga delivery day. There it is. It's done, and drive around this weekend for the Porsche Literature Show, and then go to our mechanic, fix a couple little mechanical things, and get it ready for our next rally. So I'll update you with the in-car experience shortly. Love you guys.
Oh, that smile on that guy's face. I mean, that kind of says it all.
I totally agree with you. Would you like to see the in-car experience?
Yeah.
Roll it, Hal.
Well, I am in Tortuga, Mr. and Mrs. Ryan. I thought you'd appreciate these. Anyway, just leaving the Autobahn auto body, and it feels so good to be back in this car. It's like putting on an old pair of jeans. I forgot how much I missed it. I love this car. It looks pretty good. They really did a good job of preserving the age and the patina, and hopefully it drives like before. It's going to go to the mechanic anyway, but Tortuga is alive, and hopefully you'll see it this weekend. Talk to you soon.
That is, you're hilarious. I stand by it. The smile says it all.
I agree. I don't even know where he got those. I don't even know. Was he out there that day at Newcomb's
I
and
don't
took
know.
his? You know, we took. I bought those from Amazon in a bulk purchase solely because I bought a bunch of canes as well, so that we could whatever. It doesn't matter. When you first got a cane, we all had canes and glasses.
Because you're awesome.
Up at Newcomb's for a photo, just kind of like it was the first day out with your cane, and you were a little bit timid about it. And it was kind of like, well, what if everybody has one? You ain't cool unless you pee your pants. That's what we did. That's what we did.
Totally.
Yeah. That's what we did.
And it was awesome, and thanks to everyone for participating and you for surprising me with that.
But that must be
awesome.
that. I mean, those are the same glasses, right? I mean, it's just Groucho glasses.
Yeah.
All right, Mrs. Ryan. That's enough for me. I've done enough stuff. It is time to ask the question that is on everyone's mind. What's going on, Mrs. Ryan?
What's going on? Well, like I said, I caught a cold recently, and it's such a mess. I get really bitchy and crabby, but I can be quite unaware of when I get colds, which is what that's about, and I get quiet and bitchy, and quite defiant. But before I rest, which is what always fixes everything. And so sometimes when I have to rest, I take some time to do some health reading. And one thing I found was that the brain actually washes itself when you get deep sleep. And it washes itself with your spinal fluid, which I did not know, really. And you sleep, like deep sleep gets harder as you get older, supposedly. You have to really train yourself to do it. But it gave me something neat to visualize, that it's like your spinal fluid that washes your brain out.
Do you believe in the Kundalini and all that stuff, and keeping the chakras aligned? Do you believe in all that stuff?
Yeah.
There's some people believe that that you're working that spinal fluid up into your brain. It's not just spinal fluid. There's a lot of fluids that some people believe. Jim Carrey talks about this a little bit in something, I can't remember what, but I think it was semen specifically. But like if you're abstinent or whatever, and somehow you can work that stuff in your brain, it makes you different.
I totally believe in all that, and then I get caught in being a human and being like, that's crazy, it's not backed up by anything. And then I find stuff to back it up, so then I believe it again.
Anything and everything. That's all I ever get to. I took a class in high school that I actually remember because the teacher was so good, and I had her in night school too, Jean Robinson. That's how good she was. But it was that anything she taught. It was called Search for Self, and anything and everything had ever been thought of. No original thought. Once you expand out, everything's possible. Everything's already happened. Blah blah blah. If you live in a place like that, well, yeah, anything you could possibly imagine not only has happened, but it can happen again, and you can do it if you want to.
I totally agree. I like to I need reminders myself because my memory's horrible. And I like sharing that with people because like I was talking with our guest today about Letterman, and he's like, do people not know? And I'm like, I don't know anymore. Like I know foreign people now that really don't know who he was.
Oh, in general. Yeah. He's certainly not as
there's
relevant,
not the
current
stamp that people, this guy's younger than me. So I was like, I don't know. So I never know anymore. But
everything they said about Carson off the air, the same thing happened when Letterman went off the air. There used to only be one guy. And well, yeah, but then there used to only be like a few guys, Now there's 46,000 million guys again.
Yes, I just think some of us are more important, and that's when I'm a snob. Sorry.
I love it.
A lot of movies.
Know your worth. That's good. It's not snobby.
Yeah. Okay.
Know your value.
A lot of movies I grew up with are a lot of fake stories, and they're fantastical and whatever. So a lot of the things I wanted to believe, like the good messages, I was like kind of like before where I was like, nah, show me. And I need to be
what are you saying
reminded.
Say that one more time. Old movies, and you didn't necessarily believe in the...
I learned early that some of them storylines are fantastical and fake. So the good messages, I was like, I want to believe, but
you often wrote them out as that's just fiction.
totally.
Oh, that's
So-
terrible.
It's horrible, but I'm like crawling out of that horrible mindset. And so stories that like
Back to anything can happen.
cement, yeah, totally. Well, okay. The movie that I watched a lot was It Could Happen to You. Have you heard of it?
Yeah, I have heard of it, but is that the lottery ticket one?
Yeah.
It is, but
Nick
it's not.
Cage and
That is the one
Bridget
with Bridget
Fonda.
Fonda with a little diner in Manhattan.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I know they made that diner for that movie.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I used to watch that movie over and over before
don't
Benny
know
was
that I
a
ever
thing. It
saw
was
it.
on VHS. I like trucked a VCR across the
One's a
country.
local
multiple
cop or a
times.
transit cop or something like that.
Yeah, there's all yeah, whatever.
And
It's
one
a
of them's
whole.
a waitress at the diner.
She is. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
a beautiful story and one of those ones that I was like, oh, that'd be so nice. Like if you that sentiment's real, but like really. So the lottery winner this week in South Carolina really is like that. Like she's anonymous. She wants to stay anonymous. She won like some crazy amount of money.
$1.5 billion.
Yeah, which is banana pants. So
Took
she's
the one lump sum and it ended up being like $750 million.
totally, but she's remaining anonymous. But she did tell her story of like how like it was a random synchronicity of events that day.
She let somebody go in front of her. I know
Yeah.
that. So essentially, it's
And it
like the
ended with
blackjack
that.
card in 21. Yeah.
So trust in all the stories. You know, there's something real about all of them, even if it's that silly movie that you used to watch.
I remember about 6 months or so ago when this happened, and there was an unidentified winner out there, and they wanted to come forward, but the issue was they wanted to remain anonymous, and you weren't allowed to at the time. So either they had got enough they realized they had enough of a bankroll to get attorneys
Yeah.
involved and either fight that, or I don't know how or what happened, but 6 months ago you were not allowed to accept a lottery anonymously. Otherwise, everybody would do that. I would do that.
I think that's maybe the way of the future, like
good.
protecting your privacy, whatever. But she's got a cool story, and I love that she shared that that's what it was. Okay, I'll be quick. IKEA,
No, you're awesome.
IKEA this year is selling DIY chocolate Easter bunnies.
You put it together yourself with the
It
crumpled
looks
instructions.
like those cardboard things that we used to make when we were kids. You could make things stand up by like making a cutout that looks like an X. Maybe you didn't, but
Oh, I understand. I'm just watching you try to explain construction methods.
it's horrible.
good.
It looks
It's
like
good.
2D construction paper shit, but it's like maybe if you're not making stuff to hand out and hide for kids this year, that's what you do.
I don't get it. Is that what it is?
Yeah, it's a chocolate. It made out of chocolate. It's flat and it looks like.
Why is that even a story? Why did you even bring that up? Tell me why you brought that up.
I brought that up because I'm trying so hard to be positive and find positive stories.
What's the positive there?
That like it's
Swedish
just
chocolate?
something to do. Like
Oh,
it's something
go to IKEA,
neat
get
to
a
do.
fold up.
If you're in IKEA, it's like probably one of those purchased near the register. So
impulse buy.
whatever. And then lastly, in
Oh.
another like, people are awesome. Air pilots, like airline pilots. A couple lately have done this, but one recent story of Air Canada, a pilot found out they were going to have to be sent to a different airport and delayed.
Redirected?
So, redirected. But like had to go down somewhere and wait. And so he called ahead and ordered a bunch of pizza.
Oh, no shit.
So it was
Oh,
awesome.
like someplace where we're going to be on the tarmac for 3 hours or whatever. We've got to at least feed these people.
It ended up being an 8-hour ordeal, and so this guy's like the people are saying he's a hero. The word's overused, so I don't want to use it. But like, what a
Hero is a
good,
bit, but what a good move.
what a good
Solid
move. And like, it's rainy and shit and gross here, so I'm just trying to find the positive anywhere I can.
It's
Like
great.
that's
It's raining in LA. Yeah.
such a good feel good story.
Oh,
Thanks,
all right,
pilot
Mrs.
guy.
Ryan. Well, that's been then. What's going on? Dun, 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 dun.
That's what's going on.
Wow, good job, Mrs. Ryan. I'm still trying to pick the IKEA Christmas tree thing. I'm still trying to get that
An
one.
Easter bunny.
Oh, that's right. Well, that makes more sense. In my mind, I was thinking the Christmas tree. I'm like, well, that makes whatever. A 2D Easter bunny, chocolate.
It's lame
Still can't
as
get it.
crap, but it is what it is. It's like Russell Stover for chocolates. It's not good.
All right. In that case, Mrs. Ryan, let us take a break and get our guest, Michael Senderovich, in here. Road Stories Mike from the Road Stories podcast.
Yeah.
A couple more minutes. Take a break. He'll be sitting right in that chair
Cool.
right after this.
was raised right, I guess.
That must be, right? Makes a difference.
Yeah, yeah. Just don't ask my parents that. They'll tell you something different.
All right, and we are back with Michael. Am I saying your name right? Senderovich?
Senderovich.
Senderovich. Okay, so
But,
Senderovich.
Yeah, I
so
think we're going to be
emphasis
okay.
on the O.
On the Ovich. Yes.
On the Ove.
Yes. The emphasis on the
Put the wrong-
Ovich.
on the syllable there.
On the
whole
syllable.
thing.
Exactly. Yeah, this is so cool, you guys. This is really...
Well,
Thanks.
welcome.
rad.
Let's start with welcome. Thanks for coming. Thanks for
My
wanting to
pleasure.
be here. You're one of the guests lately who's reached out to us to be on the show. We're finally must be crossing a hump or something.
Yeah.
And we are grateful to have you here. You do a podcast yourself. I don't know how much you want to talk about or where you want to start, but I would love to get to know you today because I don't really know anything about you other than your podcast.
Sure. Let's get to know me. Come on.
Nice.
Let's do it.
Well, what's up? Who are you?
I'm a guy.
Okay.
And,
Guys are good.
yeah. I do a podcast among a lot of other things. I keep busy. I can't sit still. Like, literally, I'm fidgeting already.
Really?
Yeah. I have this problem where I get really bored really fast.
Did you bring
Unless
your phone?
I did.
Okay.
Yeah.
You want to play with that in the meantime?
No.
Oh, okay.
That actually, okay, so I'm trying to do this thing where I'm trying to get rid of the damn phone.
Oh, good. I have
It's
mine
such
out
a
right now
distraction.
because I'm supposed to. Everyone said you need to start doing this Instagram stuff, and then
Okay.
you get, hey, it's live. It's live.
Am I supposed to
Hey,
do-
what's up,
what am
Mrs.
I?
Ryan?
Because you were like doing the. Am I supposed to dodge or I don't know what I'm doing here? You know,
I
like
don't know.
yeah.
I think we did it though. Yeah, look, we did it.
Oh, cool.
So that'll go up on the Instagram then. All right.
Okay.
Thanks for doing that. I don't know how to work any of this stuff.
My pleasure. No, you and I both. I just
Before you came out, he's like, I'm whatever. What'd you say? Technologically
inept.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Seriously?
And
And
I
you
was
host
like-
a podcast and you do it all yourself?
Okay, so when it comes to editing and when it comes to audio equipment, because I've been doing this for a really, really long time. Not the whole podcasting thing. Well, actually, yeah, technically it's a long time. I've been doing it probably for almost 4 years now.
Wow.
So that's a decent amount of time.
I mean, we're a year in and it feels
It's a
like
good
a long
chunk.
time. So
Yeah.
4 years is a lot.
Yeah. Well, I had a different show before I did Road Stories.
The watch one. Yeah.
The watch one.
Okay. Well,
So-
what should we talk about first? Let's start with that then, because that was
Yeah,
your
let's
first
do it.
foray into podcasting.
Yeah, so I've had a couple of people ask me like, "Hey, how did you get to this point?" Because I have this obsessive personality where everything has to be perfect,
Okay.
and audio has to be perfect. So I was really, really fortunate because I grew up in music. My brother and I were in bands for I don't even know how many years.
So you know gear.
I know gear.
Oh, that's great.
And I love
that's
gear.
A huge leg up. This is what people are like. How do you know how to do all this? I know gear.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah.
That's the fun
That's
part.
a really good point. It's a different kind of gear than car stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean,
okay.
it is, but
it's
it
still
isn't.
the stuff.
Yeah.
It's people
Yeah.
who like watches, anything technical. It's all
Yeah.
the same stuff.
Yeah.
It's a neat through line that when you point it out, guys, it means more than when I'm like, no, it's the same.
Yeah. Can we take a quick pause? I needed to do this.
Oh yeah, go
Yeah.
ahead.
This
oh, the
this
Letterman
needed to
dance.
happen.
It's wild, isn't it?
Yeah, I
Isn't
feel
it
good
just
now.
The whole like just sitting here.
Yeah.
Is a bizarre thing.
Is that his actual RCA?
Yeah.
Can I touch that too?
Yeah.
All right, we'll do that after.
The Letterman stuff.
Yeah.
You're like a fellow Letterman guy. It's so cool.
I mean the chairs
Yeah.
too. You know.
Oh my
the
god.
one that you're sitting
Oh
in.
shit! I didn't take a picture today. I meant to take a screen grab of Luke Perry also. R.I.P.
Oh.
Luke Perry, but
Yeah.
he sat
Yeah.
in those a couple times too.
Wow. Yeah, that's really sad.
Yeah.
I know we're bouncing all around. Sorry
Yeah.
about that.
No, that's
But yeah, it's
this
all
is totally
the whole,
okay.
It's all Letterman stuff. So to me, like Chris Farley tumbling off the stage in that, or I don't know, Al Gore sitting in it the first night. You know what I mean? Like all that stuff is a big deal. Robin Williams no longer with us. You know.
Yeah. If I had feelings, I'd had goose pimples.
Oh, you're not a feelings guy?
Apparently, I'm getting there. You know.
Have you been told that?
No, actually, yes.
All right. Well, we'll start with you were a gear guy.
Yeah.
So you're a bit of an audiophile. So it had to.
Totally.
So you were into the quality.
Yeah. I mean, like when I came in here and I saw your Bowers and Wilkins and the Eames chair, and like I'm like these are my people. We're gonna vibe. We're gonna be just fine.
We're in the same community. We all like quality. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter what it is, what you can
Yeah.
afford, whatever. It doesn't matter as long as it's quality.
Yes. Thank
I'm
you.
in.
Absolutely.
No
Yeah.
fakes.
You're preaching the truth.
Yeah.
And
My
more
dad was
people
the
need to
same way.
understand
I
that.
got that from him. He was
Me
like, he
too.
wouldn't buy the cheap version of something. He would wait 3 years to buy it, but he'd buy the expensive one so that it would be like the one that he would keep forever.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, I do. I have the same exact mentality, and I think it came from my parents too. Mostly my father too, because he's very hands-on. He loves to do everything, and that's where I get it from too.
You said you're born and raised here too,
No.
in L.A., right? Oh no.
no. I was raised in LA, but I wasn't born here.
Oh okay.
Yeah, I was born in Uzbekistan,
Say
one of
what?
the stand countries.
Sure.
Yeah.
Uzbekistan.
Uzbekistan. UZ.
Uzbekistan.
Yeah, the one with not so many terrorists.
Oh my gosh.
Hilarious.
Not where I'm going. Not where I'm going. Just trying to get to know you.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's one of those. It's right there. It's right next to Pakistan, Afghanistan, and they're all kind of
in the mix.
within proximity of each other. Yeah, exactly. And so if we go really, really back, so I'm Jewish, and a lot of my family, like 70% of my family, was wiped out by the Holocaust and by the war. So unfortunately, the women went into the ghettos in the Holocaust, and the men went to fight, and that's where I lost 70% of my family. And what happened was my ancestry is from the Ukraine and Poland and Austria. So what?
Wow, you really covered the whole area up there.
Very thorough. Yeah, my family is very
I know
thorough.
You're not good with geography, but he kind of blanketed a certain area of the map.
Yeah. I think that's one of the only classes that I paid attention to when I was in school. I was not a good student.
Me neither.
Yeah,
there's the reason we do this, right?
Yeah, school sucks, and then I went to college and then grad school after.
Somehow we can talk to people.
Yeah, and I still maintain that mentality. By the way, school sucks. The only reason I went to school was to make my parents proud. Yeah, because they're ex-Soviets, so it's like schooling and education is really important to them.
Structure.
Yeah,
a little bit
for them, not so much for me.
But that's how it is. It skips, right? Because they want it, so you don't.
I don't think it's. See, it wasn't really a matter of want. It was a matter of you have no choice. I mean, it's the former Soviet Union, and you didn't really have exactly.
How old were you over in that part of the world? Like, when did you move here? How's that?
I was 7. My brother was 2.
You have memories there, obviously, then, at 7. Yeah,
it was formative.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow.
I remember a lot.
Yeah, no,
I don't want to bum you guys out, so I won't tell you the stories now. Later.
And you're 32 years, so we could probably do the math on what was going on in the world at certain times,
Yeah. Use the Google.
Yeah, Mr. Gorbachev.
25 years ago. That's why you're into this shit. 93 was 25 years ago.
25. Yeah.
Oh,
full circle.
Yeah, you moved here when this stuff was going on.
Mm-hmm.
Like literally on television.
Yeah, and so growing up poor, because we came here, my parents literally had $100. That's it. And we moved into my grandmother's apartment for, I want to say, less than a week. And my dad found a job. My parents got us an apartment.
Your dad was educated?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, both of them are very highly educated, yeah. But even with my dad's really, really high education, the only thing that he could do here was move furniture. So that was his first job.
It doesn't transfer here, right?
It doesn't.
You can't go to wherever and be like, I have a degree from blah, blah, blah. I'm a
the
master
language.
of blah. Yeah,
the language is the issue. A lot of ex-Soviets, what they would do is when they would come here, they would become engineers because that translates.
Right.
Math is math.
Numbers.
Right.
Yeah,
you need to build a bridge everywhere.
Right. And yeah, so we came here. My dad started working almost immediately, and obviously they provided for us and did the best that they could. And when we were sitting at home, my parents were working together. So basically, my mom was in the insurance business, and my dad he opened a mechanic shop after he did the whole moving thing, and that's how I think I really started obsessing about cars, because I was obsessed with cars. I think when I was like 1 or 2.
Whoa.
Yeah, my parents were.
I liked mechanical things that early as well, but I didn't know cars versus tractors versus trucks and.
Oh, I was obsessed.
Wow.
I was like immediately obsessed. I would ride on my dad's, because it's the Soviet Union. So it's like driving the car.
We did that here too.
Yeah.
It's
but
more like the 80s. Nobody cared.
Yeah.
Didn't matter where you were on the
street. I did that.
Yeah, I didn't know, because I wasn't here, but that sounded like a lot. Thank you. It just sounds better. Like we need to get back to that,
Yeah.
Like even if it's in a parking lot, stick your kid, in front of that steering wheel and let them have the experience instead of sitting there in front of an iPad.
It was the experience. You felt like you were having control and it was all happening. It was a very interesting thing.
Yeah.
Learning hand-eye coordination, like things happen.
Yeah.
Results, cause and effect.
Exactly. And maybe this is why still to this day I cannot drive an automatic car. I am repulsed by automatic cars.
Repulsed is one thing, but do you physically have an issue with it? I would always, the pedal's bigger, so I would put my foot on the brake by accident thinking it was you know what I mean, all that weird stuff. I had an M4 a couple years ago, and it was like just everything was an issue because it was the whatever.
Yeah, the SMG or the dual clutch.
The dual clutch.
Yeah. I don't like BMWs.
I know. I thought
I
you
don't
were
want to offend
complimenting
anyone, which
I
I probably will.
I thought you were complimenting. It was the speakers.
It was the speakers. Yeah. I love anything that has wheels, but I'm also extremely opinionated, and I'm also very, very stubborn and hard-headed.
Does that make you good at your job, podcasting?
I hope so.
Yeah, I think so too.
I hope so.
So you know who you are.
I do, but actually the point of the show is to make me completely irrelevant. Like, I'll ask the question, and that's pretty much it. I don't need to be involved because the point is the show is all about the story. And when I bring people in, I want people to tell their story.
Oh, so do you have a specific, what is the format of yours? Is it like people come on and they talk about a story? It's
Sure,
not
yeah.
a conversation.
It could be a conversation, and it'll lead into a story, and that's really what I'm hoping to do. So I'm actually kind of evolving the show as things progress. So at the beginning, it was basically like, you're going to come on and you're going to tell me your origin story. Where are you from? What'd you do? Why'd you do it? You know, if you're in the automotive world, whatever it is that you do there, tell me how you got here.
All right, perfect. Perfect way to stop.
Rad.
We started with the watches.
Yes.
Let's go back there.
Sure.
So why did you start the watch podcast? How did you get to podcasting? Like, how did all that, that's really your origin story for podcasting. Then we'll get to road stories.
It is. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, so I used to write a blog about watches. And it was getting some traction. I was getting some people to visit the site and
what was it called?
Comment. The Timekeeper blog.
That's great.
.com.
Honestly, that's great.
I'm not entirely sure if it's still up. I think I still own the domain. I'm not sure.
I had one of those for a while.
Yeah.
what you
So
mean.
I did that for a minute and more than a minute, like 10 maybe. So I did that and I just wasn't getting the attention, I guess, that I wanted. And
The eyeballs
I just
we're talking about?
yeah, it was that, and I felt like I had a lot to say, and I felt like there was so much room for improvement when it came to the Swiss watch world specifically. The Japanese were doing okay, but the Swiss watch world specifically, there was just so much more that they could have done, and it was more in line with like business strategy and marketing and things like that, because that's what I was going through at that time. I was running a small business, and I was going to business school, and I wanted to apply that with watches. So I basically started writing a bunch of different articles on what brands were doing wrong. And people started vibing with that, and I got kind of excited, and then it just kind of plateaued because I screwed up. It wasn't necessarily what I was, it was what I wasn't doing, basically. And what I wasn't doing was I wasn't consistent. I wasn't posting frequently, and I wasn't posting at the times that people would know that there was a post. So I didn't know that, and I
This
actually
is the algorithm stuff you're
the
talking
algorithm,
about, right?
exactly.
You're doing the creative, no problem.
Right. So after that, I kind of just gave up, really, and I'm not really one to give up. That's where the stubbornness.
Strike me. Yeah. If this didn't work, you'd move on. It seems like.
I think what it was is I'm always looking for a better way. It's just one of my things.
I love that.
So
Same here, evolution, man.
yeah, and I think audio is just a better way. It's just I could do more creativity with audio because the voice is just so powerful. You have so many different things that you could say
Than
just
written
throwing
word.
some words. Yeah, like I'm not good enough of a writer for my stuff to be gripping. I'm a decent writer. I've been published. I wrote for some magazines.
You're very eloquent. You speak very well. You're careful with your word choice.
Thank
you
you.
take your time. You enunciate well.
I try.
It seems like other than that last one, all of those other things would apply in writing as well. Is that not true?
They do, but still, I think I don't. I'll tell you what it is, actually, now that we're talking about it. I think it's patience. I'm so incredibly impatient to sit there and to write an article. And
You have to write it a bunch of times.
Write it a bunch of times, and also, I kind of look at things this way. I'm really not that interesting.
Stop saying that. I'll be the judge. No, just kidding.
Okay.
I'm just kidding.
We'll get
totally
the sheet that grades me a little bit later.
No way, not at all. You're
Yeah.
amazing already.
Oh, thank you. That's very nice for you to say. But yeah, I mean, when it comes to stuff in general, I say what I need to say, and then I'm pretty much done with it. I really don't like repeating myself,
Right.
and I felt like I was repeating myself. And
You could never be a stand-up comedian, right? Doing the same.
probably not.
I know. Me.
I would
me
have
too.
to just continuously rework.
If I
the
got
act.
the most perfect thing, it'd be like, I got it. It's perfect. I'm
Yeah.
gonna go say it. Move on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Writing's tough like that because like there's an adage that writing is actually rewriting. It's like you
Right.
write down something first, and then like really the writing process is editing
Yeah.
and redoing, and that's to me the most nauseating, tedious part of writing, which is apparently why I need to do it more.
It's the work.
Yeah. I mean, I
But-
wasn't a crappy writer. I
but-
just couldn't do. You hit the nail on the head there. It's just, I did this already. Let's
Yeah.
move on. I got another thing that's already kind of circulating in my mind.
More
that
to say, different
Yeah.
things. Yeah.
Oh, I definitely don't have a shortage of opinions. That's for sure. That's for damn sure. But when it comes to just saying the same thing over and over and over again, or maybe
Yeah.
kind of tweaking it here and there is not something that I really wanted to do for a really long time. So
Unfortunately, that's also called consistency, right? With what we do.
it is, yeah, and
you
I
almost
struggle
have
with
to
that.
find a comfort there. I'm struggling with it also.
Yeah, but it's part of the struggle,
Mhm.
right? It's
Right.
just it's part of life. So you got to do what you got to do, and I think that separates people like us maybe from those that don't do things like this or don't take initiative to create something.
I was just about to say, are you creative in general? Are you a creative person? Do you?
Yeah, I think so.
Are you in art, or I mean, what
I am.
other- Okay.
Yeah.
So you are a creative person. Did you ever want to do that stuff when you were going through school for your parents? Or were you kind of...
What do you mean before my parents?
Well, you said the reason you got educated, the reason you went to further schooling after high school was mainly for your parents.
Yeah.
So that's what I mean.
Yeah. I think so. That is completely separate from the creative stuff.
Okay.
If it were up to me,
That
I'd
was
probably
the mandatory programming stuff.
right.
Okay.
Exactly.
But during that time,
Mhm.
did you have any thoughts of, this is weird, I'd be better off with a paintbrush, or I'd be better off taking pictures, or, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I do. I do know what you mean, but no.
Okay.
And I think the reason
Stay
behind
strong.
that,
Good for you.
Yeah. I'm very direct.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. I'll take it.
I'm
Name
very,
of the
very
game,
direct.
man.
I'll take it.
Yeah. In business, I've been told a few times, like, it wouldn't hurt you to, like, ask how people are doing. I'm like, no, I really
care?
I don't have time for that.
don't care.
Yeah.
I have
Answer
a
my
business
question,
to run.
and then we'll deal with whatever you're feeling.
Yeah. I mean, if you want a hug, find someone to give you a hug. I can't. I don't. I don't like touching people.
Oh.
And I don't like people touching me. So I'm
Great.
a very
so no
particular
hug
person.
for you on the way out. That's good to know. I shook your
I
hand
already
only on the way
touched
in,
you.
right? That was
Sorry.
it?
Actually, no, you can, and I'll tell you why. Because your place is immaculate, so I am not concerned.
I'm
at all.
obsessive compulsive. You strike me as exactly like me in so many different ways, right down to the damn wardrobe. You know what I mean? I didn't mean to. Don't dress like me. I didn't mean it's kind of a thing.
There's a lot of similarities, and I felt them energetically when you showed up. So.
That's what I was gonna say. It's whatever it is. I think it's wiring. I
Fun.
think it's energetic
Yeah,
in there.
it's awesome. Yeah, great. Yeah, whatever it is, it makes me crazy. Sure.
So it makes you opinionated. That's sometimes a problem. Where do we go from there?
So, well, to kind of go back to your question, at the same time that I was in school, I knew that the creative stuff wasn't going to make me the money that I needed to make.
That's why you stayed away from it. Okay, you were
Right.
smart.
Yeah,
You
but it
thought
was
about it at least.
I did. Yeah, but it was always some kind of a release. It was some kind of thing that I was going to do, or something that I would perpetuate something creative always.
So you knew that was a necessity to blah blah blah, but it didn't overwhelm you where it consumed you, and I can't do this other stuff because my attention won't break from this other stuff over here. That's how deep my OCD goes. So when it comes to like the obsessions with things, including successes and working towards goals and stuff, I get so focused. So
Yeah.
I don't know if that's good or bad. It sounds like you're able to do that and widen out, like focus that light a little bit.
See, what you're saying is something that I'm really, really trying to get to. So
Oh,
it's
really?
funny that you're saying that, and
Well,
you
then
think that
that's
it's not
it. Then
great for
the
you.
other side is always greener.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah, I think focus has always been an issue of mine, because when I sit down and it's just a monotonous task, I'm going crazy. Which is weird
Some
because
minutia that somebody else is telling you to do, something you're not interested in.
oh yeah, I have a huge problem with authority.
Yeah.
It's
Same
terrible.
guy. Same guy.
Terrible problem with authority. Yeah. So, yeah, it's just one of those things. I think like when I was in school, I really just wanted to get through it. It was one of those things that like I said, I just wanted to make my parents proud, and also I kind of wanted to prove it to myself that I was able to get through it, because I was never really into school. In high school, I barely got through high school because my senior year of high school, I had to go to night school. Ask me why.
I'm guessing you didn't do your homework or something. If it's my story.
Yes. 42 absences.
Oh wow, you just didn't go. I don't know what my numbers were, but I was in the television studio at school, skipping my English and arithmetic and all the academics, and I was making little shows like this.
Yeah, but that's awesome because you have this now. And it's so much
Yeah,
better.
there's a 20-year gap though. That's kind of a mystery. What
It
were
happens.
you doing?
It happens.
You know what I mean?
Oh,
And then
wow.
getting back to
Right.
whatever you always wanted to do.
Sure. Yeah, but it was just one of those things where after I got into graduate school, I realized that, like, look, you really have to get your shit together, and you really have to create a plan, and which is actually really funny because you know the Myers-Briggs personality test.
She does, yeah.
Yeah. So what's your personality?
I don't remember the letters, and I'm sure it's very different.
That's the one that's the IGF or whatever.
Yeah,
right?
like
okay.
INTJ
There's four,
and
and
ENT.
it's like quadrants, and it's related to quadrants of your brain and blah, blah.
Right.
But essentially, if you do it, it can kind of give other people an idea for how to handle you, right? Because it's like, this is who you are. These are the moves you're going to make.
Big in business.
Yeah.
Yeah. So actually, going back to that, like what you were saying is when I was in undergrad, I was testing as an ENTP, which is more of like a creative. And then when I got into graduate school, I started testing as an ENTJ, and that's only 4% of the population.
Yeah.
So personalities like Steve Jobs was an ENTJ, and they're really well. I go between E, which is extrovert, and I. Mostly, I'm an introvert. I actually really don't like people.
But you present as an extrovert.
When I have to.
That's the E. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's your chameleon. I'm able to do.
Yeah.
that
Mine
too, but
was
then
like
people,
that
it's
too.
misleading.
Whatever they were, it was like directly split, which is rare. Like you're not supposed to have two, so no one knew how to read me. Surprise.
Their problem.
Sounds like a common.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
Because those ones are so tricky. Because like there is the projection of like, oh no, but I'm really an inside person.
Yeah. I don't know what it is. I guess like some people get energy. Like my girlfriend, she can talk to anyone.
Mm-hmm.
And
And gains energy off of it, right?
Totally.
Doesn't exhaust
Totally.
her.
No, at all.
Exhausts you.
It
Drains
doesn't
me.
actually. It doesn't exhaust me when she's doing it because
No.
it's really fun to watch.
But if you're in
You
the same type
doing
of
it.
situation, it's just a drain, right?
it's
you're
just
constantly filling everyone
yeah.
else's bucket.
that, and I just don't care. I really don't.
So it's a boredom drain too. It's a brain. Your brain thinks I could be doing other things right now with this attention.
That, and also I unfortunately I get bored really easily, and most people, I don't know, I'm going to sound like a dick, and I usually sound like a dick, but whatever, I'm used to it. Most people really don't have anything interesting to say, and I don't really want to do small talk. You know, if I'm in a group of friends, and I'm very lucky because my friends are great, and we always have really just intellectual conversations, and sometimes even if they're not, we just have a lot of fun. But mostly the people that I've met, I'm just sitting there, and I'm just waiting for them to shut up. So that I don't have to contribute to the conversation anymore.
Yeah.
So
It's tough, especially in the car community, because we've got a lot of talkers. A lot of people want to tell you what's up.
But you know,
Tell you what's wrong with your shit.
mostly it's pretty good. I've had some conversations where I'm like, oh shit, like, what am I supposed to do now?
What do you mean?
Let's try to paint a picture here. Have you how hairy are your arms?
About this hairy.
Okay, so decently
Hairy
hairy.
but light hairy.
Okay, so
It's light colored.
let's.
Pretty hairy, actually. More hairy than you would think. No, I know, but that's what I'm saying. It's the color. I think it's
Yours
almost
is
transparent.
lighter, yours is darker.
It's my jeans.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got those, whatever those jeans
Oh,
are. Those
yeah, that
Jew
whole
jeans.
blanket, that whole area up there.
Yeah,
Cover the whole-
exactly. Furry, whatever it is. But yeah, let's paint a picture here. So suppose that you are sitting and you're just very bored, but then you start picking off hairs, like literally one at a time.
Trichotillomania.
Yeah, right, sure. Eyebrows. We've all been there.
That's what it felt like.
Stressful.
That's what it felt like. And you know, I'm the type of person where
By the way, I
know.
would rather do that than listen sometimes.
Sometimes.
You know what I mean? I'd rather,
Yeah.
I feel I'm actually doing something.
Right. Yeah. But I also
Sharpen this pencil with my teeth, anything.
I don't want to be an asshole to the point where I'm just rude to people, so sometimes I just have to endure it. And that's happened on the show a couple of times where I really was trying to get a good story out of the person, and so, many people they don't have that gift.
Did you think it was going to be a good story because you know the story, and then just they didn't know how to tell it?
I came into it as an optimist.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I came out of it
That's
as
a
a
mistake.
pessimist.
That's a mistake.
Yeah, I'm learning that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
preparation accommodates all of that, or whatever, supersedes all that. Are you face to face with your people?
I am.
And so no call-ins or anything like that?
I've done the call-ins, and I hate the
Yeah,
call-ins.
you've decided on. Me too. I just did that one down there, and it was fantastic, great experience. But it's a call-in, and it's like there's just a disjointed thing. So you have good mics. You're face to face with somebody. You think it's going to go good. You think it's going to go well.
I hope it's going to go well.
Well, all right. And what
Yeah.
happens this time? Like this picture.
People are just really matter of fact. Like, they're very... You'll ask a question, and the answer is yes. Okay?
Especially successful people I've found too.
Yeah, I haven't had that issue yet. I think, well, generally the people that I'm interviewing are successful. They're successful in whatever it is that they're doing. That's why I'm interviewing them. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's one of those things where you're sitting there and they answer and you go, well, where do I go from here? Because it's my responsibility as the host to bring them. It's like, come on, horsey, drink this water. Yeah. Right. And I'm not good enough yet. And I don't think I will ever get to that point.
How many have you done? With the watch and the road stories?
Close to 100.
That's a lot, man. I don't believe you. I bet you're better than you think you are. No, I bet you're better than you think you are.
It's all practice.
Probably.
I know that's not like the ideal word to use sometimes, but it's all practice.
Totally.
Getting to know people, getting to read people, like getting to understand those situations.
Banya didn't like it because you were using all his stand-up time as practice. You call
Here's
it
where I'm
practice. That's his work.
Totally. Rehearsing bits,
Seinfeld.
though, like is what I meant. Rehearsing bits and like formulating how to play them.
You're working it out, sure.
Yeah.
It's fun. I mean, look, at the end of the day, it's still fun.
Right.
There's certain episodes that I have to edit because editing takes a long time.
So you don't like to edit?
I do, actually. I really do like to edit because...
So you edit them all?
I edit every single one of them.
Really?
Yeah. So I usually do about an hour and 30... Depends. Again, it really depends. Like that person, I think it was like a 45-minute conversation. And I'm not going to say who that person is in case he's watching because I don't want to be an asshole. But
we've been there. I mean,
and he's a great guy. He's a really, really nice guy, and he's done so many crazy, cool things. But it's just... If this is it's a show, it's supposed to be entertaining and fun. So that's one of the reasons why I formatted my show the way that I formatted it. Is there's music and I compose music, so that's a creative release. So I'll throw some music in there for kind of breaks. I mean, really, the simplest way to describe my show is if you've listened to anything that's NPR,
which fantastic.
Yeah, it's just NPR, but
we had a radio
cars.
in the car. That's all I would listen to.
So yeah, that's the show.
Is it all different kinds of cars?
It's different kinds of...
All different kinds of people,
What do you mean?
right?
Yeah, different kinds of people. What do you... Did you...
Like a brand of car, like...
Oh, yeah, totally. Well, when I started, it was like all Porsche all the time.
Okay.
So there you are.
Yeah.
Now it's expanded out.
Yeah, because it's not so much about the cars as it is about the person and their story. I want to know that origin story. Like I had... This is crazy, but... I never thought I would have this guy on the show because he's just he's kind of a legend. He's a living legend at this point, Jonathan Ward. And I called him, and he answered the phone.
Is this the Jeep guy, the Bronco?
The 4x4 guy, yeah. Icon 4x4.
Icon. I'm sorry, I couldn't think of that. Icon, of course.
Yeah. And to me, that guy, like, he's been around forever, and he is as crazy as I am, if maybe not a little bit like more crazy in the most endearing way. That guy is a mad scientist.
He's out
mad
there
genius.
doing it, right?
Oh my God! And he's never stopping. Like I stop periodically. He never stops. So I called him and I got transferred immediately to him, and he's like, "Yeah, what time should I be there?" What?
Just ask.
Yeah, and it's funny because I do this for a living. This is what I am in. I'm in sales. So it's the same exact thing. I call people and I go, "Hey, buy this for me," and they go, "Okay."
No kidding.
Yeah. So it's funny because I came from the watch world where it was a little bit more difficult because people in the watch world are maybe a little bit more closed off. I mean, they don't want to show their faces or share their story as much. But that's why I got kind of really burnt out in the watch stuff, and cars were always my first passion. I discovered watches later. This is a really weird story. So my great-grandfather survived the war. He was on the front lines, and he had a ton of shrapnel injury him, so he always walked with a limp. But he carried this pocket watch with him throughout the war.
Oh.
And when he passed, I inherited that pocket watch.
A military pocket watch type thing? Wow.
It's a Russian pocket watch. It's hilarious because it's a blatant copy of Rolex. It's a Rolex movement.
Rolex.
Yeah, exactly. But it's not a copy. It was designed and built in the Soviet Union by the Soviets, not a copy. So I inherited this
Soviet-era war watch. That's pretty wild.
Yes.
Clearly meant a lot to him. That's really neat to have.
Yeah, I mean, everything meant a lot to people in the Soviet Union.
Everything meant a lot to people back then.
Yeah, there was nothing. There
Look
was
at this
literally
thing
nothing.
I have. It's mine.
Well, I have this story. where my dad was really well connected, and this is towards the end of the Soviet Union. So my dad was really connected. My dad is just like one of those guys where he could just go out and he can make connections, and people love him, and he just gets shit done.
Personality has the personality for it. Okay.
Absolutely. I love my dad. I love my parents, and like I think that's obviously they made me who I am. So when it came to stuff, my dad likes stuff. He likes to tinker, and that's where I get my stuff from. And in the Soviet Union, if you had a VCR, I mean, you're a billionaire.
Yeah,
if you have a VCR.
Baller.
Yeah. So we got a VCR, and I won't go into the full extent of the story, but like that's they literally closed off every single window just to make sure that they could watch TV after midnight, because after midnight there was no programming. And that's how
they hid out.
They did, yeah, because you could literally get killed for something like this.
VHS and chill. Hey.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean it's just one of those things where you really cherish the things that you have, and maybe that's where my obsession came from, and also with the show. I really don't like to do the phone interviews, not because I'm not face-to-face with the person. I really don't have that problem. I'm more concerned about the sound quality. And I cannot, for the life of me, figure out a good way to record remotely. Because I don't want to spend the money to send microphones and equipment.
That was what I was going to say. Mark Green mentioned that, one of those dual headsets.
Yeah.
Where it's a mic and a thing.
Yeah.
Looks like a pilot's thing. You know what I mean?
And
then it's just USB or something like that. Oh, I hate it too, but
stand
I bet it would work. Like the NFL, like you're calling plays or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No thanks.
Yeah. No,
but
exactly.
that would be the
no,
only thing to do, right? You send one of those ahead, and hey, plug it into your laptop, and blah blah blah.
Pretty much, yeah. Like a standard SM58, and I found this little. It's made by Blue. It's just this little preamp that you can connect directly into your computer. But then at the same time,
so you just use 58, not even beta 58s?
No.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I was really lucky because when the watch, I know we're going on. I go on a lot of tangents.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. So just to kind of give you an idea as to why I'm so hyper obsessed with audio. I grew up playing music, and I actually had a little recording studio in my parents' house, and I was making some extra dough on the side as like a teenager into my early 20s. So
composing,
recording, engineering.
Wow,
Renting out
recording
the
for other
studio,
people.
Yeah.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Good for you.
I saw an opportunity. There's a lot of kids in the area. I grew up in Calabasas, and there were a lot of kids that were in bands in Calabasas and the surrounding areas. And,
absolutely.
Nowhere to record.
Yeah, and also the amount of money that it takes to record a decent song is what 16-year-old can afford that?
No, people think you just go over there and record it. Oh, what's it going to take, an hour? Like
exactly.
No.
Days.
Yeah. So I'd give them like a flat rate. I'd be like $300, $400, $500 depending on how many hours you're going to book me for, and I'll record
the engineering, everything all in one,
yep.
right? Yeah.
All in one. So I recorded
you just have to go downstairs. That's all it is.
It wasn't even downstairs. It was in the hallway in my room. And my parents, God bless them, the most patient people in the world. My dad would come. My dad leaves at like 5:30 in the morning to go to work. Still to this day, he will never stop working.
Does he still have the mechanic shop?
He works for a mechanic shop.
Okay.
Yeah, he's a partner at some. I don't know.
Okie doke.
He still works on cars.
It's not a.
I'll talk to him about it.
Here. Just wondering.
Right. So I would basically just have these kids come into the house, my parents' house, and I'd vet them, make sure that they're not crazy and would
steal
shit exactly, or break shit, which
Fabergé
did happen once or twice. And yeah, I would bring these kids in and I would record them, and they would have. I mean, they were obviously like Sound City Studios quality. I didn't have Neve amplifiers or API stuff or anything like that.
Yeah,
it was
you had
basically
something they all didn't.
That is true. Yes, I had some SM58s. I had some Audix microphones. It's like when Audix really started to market their stuff really well, and they were actually really good microphones. So I got the Audix microphones for drum miking, and had a couple of Rode condensers that I used for vocals and things like that. And I would just record these bands, and I would edit their stuff and then mix their stuff, and depending on how they wanted it, I would either master it too, which was crap. It was shit mastering. It wasn't mastering. It was me running it through a compressor and be like, it's mastered.
Meanwhile, they don't hear the hisses, and you're all good.
Yeah, and it was enough. It was enough for them to, at that time, make CDs, and
that's all they
that
needed.
was it. Yeah, and
you gave them the place for all they needed.
Exactly, and I was marketing
in
it
the
because
50s, it was a little booth at Woolworths. You know what I mean? Making a record or whatever.
Right.
So you gave them that experience.
Totally, and I did the best that I could. I figured out a way to kind of make an isolation chamber for vocals, and really it was a closet with a bunch of clothes hanging, and then
Yeah, I was
some,
going to say, to get this type of thing,
Right.
the foam, right? Yeah.
yeah, and
Speed
but
up that sound.
I did the best that I could with what I had, and I would reinvest. I would get better microphones and better whatever.
Awesome.
And that's just kind of the way that I learned how to do audio. I learned all this stuff by myself.
Also how to scale up, too. It sounds like you learned how to work the...
Yeah.
You were learning a lot of stuff.
A lot, yeah, but you always want to get better, so I would always reinvest in
I just
something.
mean even the hustle. You were
Totally.
learning the hustle even that early.
Yeah, but the hustle was actually the easiest part because I was in bands, and we would record our stuff, and we would play shows, and I would come up to the kids, be like, "Hey, need a recording?"
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, and they'd be like, "Yeah, totally, we really do. We can't afford that shit, so come on over. Give me $500." And I actually at a certain point I was able to get the cops came to my house, my parents' house, a lot.
Because of the noise?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I wanted to be.
Your recording studio wasn't so soundproof.
It was definitely not soundproof. It was definitely not. Plus,
Oh,
my
your
parents' neighbors were
parents.
dicks. They were just assholes. Like, get a job. What are you doing in the middle of the day? You know, bullshit early retirement. Get out of here. So, yeah. I mean, at a certain point, I got. I was able to get my rig mobile, so I just went to kids' houses, and
That's nice.
It was like in the
Awesome.
garage.
And you could
and-
go in a basement or garage, yeah, something.
Totally. And that was just kind of how I learned all this stuff. And I started writing, and I just wasn't happy with the writing. And I want to say like over 5 years ago, they just celebrated 5 years officially. We started this group called the LA Watch Gang. So it's just a collector group. And we would get together at bars or wherever, and we would plop our watches on the table, and everybody would geek out, and it was just it was more of a
Little
social
meet.
thing for me.
Yeah, a little meet.
Yeah, and
Have some drinks, talk about our cool shit.
Exactly. Right. So there was this one really, really smart guy. His name's Jason, and he's still alive, hopefully. I haven't talked to him in a bit.
Boy, that was close.
Yeah. So I just kind of bitching to him. I was like, dude, I'm not getting the eyeballs that I want. And he's like, screw this, man. Just go talk about this stuff. I'm like, what do you mean go talk about this stuff? He's like, hey, have you ever heard of podcasts? I'm like, what the hell is a podcast? It's like, here. And then he pulled up his iPhone, and he opened up something. I don't remember what it was or something like that. And he just said, like, why don't you try to podcast? So I was like, yeah, why don't I try to podcast? I know recording.
Because you have all of the equipment already.
Yeah,
all you
I
have
had
to
a
do is put it into your
MacBook
computer. Yeah.
exactly. So
I mean, upload it.
Right. So at that time, I was I was just starting my insurance business, and I was looking to actually monetize. Everything has to do with how can I make money on this thing.
This is where, again, you're good. You've got the spread. I'm too focused on the art.
Right.
We should
So
partner up.
hey, you got my email. But I was working on this thing, and I just wasn't getting any results from it, and I got introduced to these podcasts. I was like, all right, well, let's give it a shot. So I'm working on my insurance business, and I was referred this guy who was looking to start a watch renting business, and he needed to get insurance for it. So I was the insurance guy that was supposed to help with him, or help him with it. And that didn't really come to fruition, but what did was, I was like, dude, you are an encyclopedia of watches. I know enough to be dangerous when it comes to watches, but I don't really go into the crazy, crazy details. And I'm the same way with cars. I'm not going to tell you what the PSI is for your spare in your whatever car that you're driving. But if you let me drive it, I'll tell you what I like about it and what I don't like about it. So we had this really great dichotomy where I would just kind of lead the show along, and I'd keep it light and airy, and he would just, in certain points, like go on these long, long rants of, this is when it was produced, this is who produced it, this is why it was produced, and this is the material, down to the type of metal that they would use to produce this stuff. Like, insane knowledge base. And we did that show for a bit, and I got a little burnt out, and I didn't see a benefit for me to continue to do the show, and I had to be direct and real with the guys, and I just said, listen, I gotta go, I gotta leave, and that's what happened. And the show's still actually that show is still doing better than Road Stories when it comes to downloads.
Okay, so it's still going. It's still up.
It's still up, yeah. It's called On Time.
Do they still do it?
No.
Okay.
No, because I was the dude. So.
Yeah.
I skipped a couple of steps. What's that?
You were the dude with the equipment.
I
Took
was.
your ball and you went home.
Well, actually, the way that it actually worked is the first shows were done by one of the guys that was in the group, and he is a professional. He's a Grammy-nominated audio engineer, and he does the sound for The Voice and American Idol. What was American Idol, and what I think he's still doing American Idol, because I think it's back, right?
or America's Got Talent, one of them.
Sure, one of
They're all
those
the
things.
same.
Yeah, and
They're all
this guy,
produced by the same people.
the most amazing ears I've ever had to work with in my entire life. And I've been very lucky because I've been able to work with quite a few musicians and people that were in that kind of sphere. But this guy is just a talent that I've never seen before. Like, he was listening to things just kind of on a QC type of thing, and he was telling me, like, all right, move 14,000 up by 0.1 decibel. And it's like a completely different sound, and I'm just sitting there going,
that frequency and knows where it's missing. And
exactly. How the hell do you know this stuff? And the first few episodes were, tell me about it.
It is, right? I mean, you can't
It really
quantify
is.
it. It's
That's
magic.
talent. That's just talent.
Yep.
That's pure talent and nothing else. And if you want to argue with me about that, not going to work out well for you. But anyway, when it comes to that stuff, he was doing the first few episodes, and his recording schedule was so absolutely rigorous that I was like, listen, I have this experience. If you're okay with me trying a couple of shorter shows, we would do these shorter shows. I'll send you my example of my editing, and if it's up to snuff, I don't want to step on your shoes or on your toes. I'll take the short stuff, and that way we can have more consistency and put out more episodes. And I sent him the clip, and he's like, okay. And that was it. And I basically, for the remainder of the show, the majority of the episodes were done by me. They were recorded and edited by me. With his direction, he would tell me, like, the tweaking of the sound a little bit here and there. And that's where I became hyper obsessed with the sound quality.
Is it bothering you to not have cans on right now?
No.
Oh, okay.
Actually, surprisingly, no.
Okay.
But the cans
I
are...
just realized, I was like,
yeah.
wow, you're really talking about all this stuff, and we have them. I could have provided them. Most people don't like to wear them, you know what I mean?
I don't like to wear them when I'm just having a conversation like this. The only reason that I'd like to wear them is when I'm recording. When
you're in the hot seat, so you can have
doing the
control, you know
engineering.
what's up.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
a quality standard.
Right,
Control,
right.
Quality control.
Yeah, but then, Roadsters kind of came about, and I knew that I couldn't sit still, and I wanted to go back to my first love. And obviously, like we talked about...
And you liked doing the podcast. You just were at a ceiling where you weren't...
Yes.
Where else were you going to go with it?
I loved doing the podcast.
Okay.
And I still love doing the podcast. Depends on the guest. But I love doing the podcast.
That's how we started this conversation.
Right. Yeah, tangents. Yeah, so now we're at Road Stories. So here we are.
Yeah. There was something, I don't remember how I got about that, but it was when you had a guest something, and where did you start talking about that so I can mentally wrap it up? It was about when you think somebody's going to be interesting and then they're just not?
Yeah, there's that. And then
No,
also...
but isn't that how we started it? Is that
I think
what it was?
so.
Okay.
Yeah, and then Jonathan Ward kind of made an appearance
The opposite
there for a
of
second.
that. He
right.
was very, he is
I just sat there
very
and watched.
interesting and entertaining.
Absolutely.
Period.
Yeah, I pressed record and...
The spectrum is pretty broad of people.
It is, yeah. And that's also tough because with someone like him, there's so much there and it's so good that you don't want to take it out. But you have to because the episode is an hour long.
Well, so that's what we're getting at. We're over an hour now. How long are your episodes? How long do you record? How long do you cut them down? Does it depend on the content?
It depends on the content, but usually I don't like to go over an hour and 30 because that just creates... Like each episode is about 10 hours to edit. So it's...
Holy snot.
Yeah. I take out all the breaks and all the weird ums and ahs and sometimes people repeat themselves multiple times.
So it's a really nice product when you put it out.
I hope so.
We're kind of like unedited, live to tape, as if, hey, we recorded from 5:30 to 6:30 and here's what it is, kind of.
Well, the reason that I'm here is because I really, really like your product. So...
Oh, thanks, man.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. I looked the stuff up and I was like, I want to do that.
That means a lot to me. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Means a lot, yeah.
You're a great guest, just so you know. I mean, I knew you would be, which is why I didn't have to do any work. You know what I mean? I told you ahead of time.
Sure.
But you are. You have an air about you. There's an energy, like you said before, where you're just comfortable. And you'll tell me whatever I want to know, and you'll tell me if there's anything I shouldn't know. You know what I mean? You're just kind of... It's very easy. If they could all be like this, it would be great. Does that make sense to you?
It makes total sense to me.
Perhaps it's because the person in the chair knows what it's like and vice versa.
I don't believe you, but it makes total sense to me.
Well, you've seen this before. I don't fucking lie.
Yeah. It's hard for me. It's really hard for me to take that praise because I'm very self-critical, and I think that's one of the ways that I'm actually able to improve because it's never good enough, and
Agreed.
I'm okay with that.
Agreed. That's your evolution process, though. That's me, too.
Yeah.
I mean, this studio has not looked the same any 2 weeks of the show. Do you know what I mean?
That's
It has
awesome.
gotten better or whatever.
Yeah.
Progressed every time. I feel like we've gotten to know you, and I feel like that's a wonderful achievement. I don't know how much we've gotten to talk about like your art, what you're doing, where you're going. I would love it if you'd come back sometime, or if you do it on your show or whatever. But I'd love to have more conversations with you because I think you're very, very interesting. We don't have to wrap it up this second, but I'm kind of like we should think about it soon. And
yeah, I'll be here tomorrow.
I want to make sure I got all this out.
No problem.
Be here tomorrow? Perfect. Yeah.
You're awesome.
What is your car mark of choice if you have one? I know you said you like all cars, but you started all Porsche, so
yes.
Is there a love there?
Well, I appreciate Porsche, but I'm not a Porsche person.
Okay.
So I'm a man of principle, apparently. I was just told this recently.
Okay.
I can't drive a Porsche.
Whoa.
Because of the history.
Okay.
But I also... And it's
German history.
German history.
Yeah,
specifically with Ferdinand Porsche and all the ties with Hitler and the war crimes, a little bit of that.
Right.
But
that's
doesn't...
the stuff that do they sweep it all under the carpet? Is there less stuff that I don't know, or more stuff that I don't know?
You probably know it all. Because Porsche, what I respect about Porsche as a brand is they don't hide that history. Like BMW in 2016 came out and they said, "Oh, we're really regretful that there were 50,000 slaves making cars." In 2016, come on.
Little late to the party on that.
And regretful that there were 50,000.
I don't want to go there.
Yeah,
I'm just curious.
Yeah.
The reason I was coming around to that was Porsche and both Telefunken. I don't know if you know, we have a sponsorship with Telefunken, these microphones, and they used to sponsor the Porsche race cars way back in the day, the Panorama.
Yeah.
You know all that. Mm-hmm. They both have a sordid history with Hitler took the Telefunken brand and was trying to push his agenda and everything.
Of course.
Our friend, the CEO, the current owner, the new owner of Telefunken, acknowledges all of that.
Sure.
Wants to do everything in his power to not overcome, but to almost like tidal wave the negativity with positivity. And his entire market strategy, his entire company strategy is making devices to transmit good vibes, good
vibrations. Change the affiliation, like change the vibes, the feelings that come with the name.
You can never undo what somebody else did.
And he's not trying to, but
Correct.
You can add goodness to it, and I feel like that's what he's trying to do on so many levels.
And Porsche too, for the same reason you said they acknowledge the history. You can't not. It's significant. It's significant for the world, not just for our little cars, but they've worked it into something that we all love later.
Yes, absolutely. Right, and that's where respect comes. That's why I respect the brand. I have my own. Whatever's inside here, most people, I think, no person will ever be able to figure out. I can't figure it out, so I don't expect anybody else to.
In you?
Yeah.
Oh,
and I've driven so many different Porsche. I grew up in a mechanic shop. One of the first cars that I drove was a 944.
Oh, no kidding.
That was parked in my dad. It was a red 944. The owner didn't have any money to pay my dad, so it was like there for 2-3 months or something like that. I don't even know what my dad did with it, to be honest. But it was one of the first cars that I was in, and I felt the action of the gear lever, and I felt the clutch, which as a 10-year-old or a 12-year-old was extremely heavy.
Was it a turbo? Mine was heavy too.
I don't remember. But it was a very heavy clutch because I got into a car after that. I was like, what the hell? What's this broken?
Yeah.
I think it was an RX-7 too that he had at the same time, or maybe the RX-7 was red. Who cares? But yeah, I got into that car after, and I was like, oh, this is a little different. It's a little.
So what are you into then? What is your what is your comfort zone for cars?
For driving, I'm a big fan of Japanese. I love Hondas. I drive a Honda, and it's funny because I was just having this crisis where my lease ended, and I needed to get a new car. And I had an Acura before, and it was the dullest piece of shit I've ever owned in my life.
Well, what are you driving, a Civic R or something?
Close. I'm also very cheap, and I don't want to spend the Type R. Frugal, yes.
So you have the SI?
I have the SI. Yeah, I mean, the Type R, I don't want to pay a $10,000 markup on a Civic.
The Danbury Chive, the guy from Richfield BMW there drives an SI. He liked it so much he bought it. He leased it, then he bought it.
Great car.
Yeah, he loves it.
Yeah. And I was looking
Dukes
at
of Hazzard
Julia's. Yeah, that's awesome. I didn't get that color. I got the blue. I got the AG in blue, which is weird.
That was what he always used to get.
Yeah, totally. But
beautiful.
Julia's are cool. I mean, I love the modern stuff, but they don't have a stick shift. And
I was just going to say, you need a manual in the SI.
I do. But I was willing to make that kind of sacrifice, if that's the right word. I was looking at the Giulia, and I just didn't get the lease that I wanted, but I was actually ironically getting a better deal on the Quadrifoglio, which was something that I was going to consider. And I was looking at like the ATS-V. I just like good cars. It's not complicated with me. If I
This
like
comes
it,
back to the quality thing.
right. If it's a great chassis, like the Alpha chassis on the CTS and the ATS is amazing.
Agreed.
Yeah.
They're making the best chassis these days. Them and Volvo.
Oh my God.
Who would have known?
Who would have? Right. And the interiors on the Volvos, not on the Cadillacs. But yeah, if it drives great, I like it. I've driven 993s, I've driven 996s, 997s. You guys have a 997, right?
997, yeah.
Yeah. Great car. Amazing car.
Yeah, it's nuts.
Arguably one of the
For
best,
a 15-year-old
actually.
car, it's incredible.
Right. Yeah, but I've done it. I've had it all, and I've done it all. One of my favorite cars of all time was my S2000, which I really regret
Oh,
selling.
you could wind that out.
Oh, yeah. So much fun. But Porsche is one of those things where I have so much respect for the brand, and I know like a lot of people clown on them because it's the engine's in the wrong place. Shut up.
Oh,
They
that's
fixed
what
it.
makes me like it.
Right. Yeah, isn't it? Isn't it better just because it's different?
I can't drive. I'll always drive a 911. Does that make sense to you? Or a VW or something
Totally.
like that. I will always have that because that's what made me re-fall in love with driving.
Right.
And once, I don't know, it's one of those things. How many people do go back? I mean, not too many. You usually graduate, maybe from Porsche to Ferrari or something, but not a whole lot of people go back. If you're hardcore BMW and then you graduate to Porsche, it's like not a whole lot of people go back to a front engine setup, rear wheel drive.
Yeah.
It's almost like you then have to move to a Subaru or something and conquer all-wheel drive. You know what I mean? It's like you have to go to something different each time.
I wouldn't go to Subaru.
I'm just saying, whatever, Audi, whatever.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it makes sense that you said Subaru because both boxer engines.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
well,
similarities
just
there.
the all-wheel drive too. Those
That too, yeah.
WRXs were great.
Yeah.
Those
Well, then get a
STIs.
Carrera 4.
Ugh, I like it too.
I do like two-wheel drive cars too. I'm not a
Two-wheel
big fan of
drive
four-wheel
engine in the
drive.
back it changed my life.
It's a game
Yeah.
changer.
Changed
It's
my
very
life.
different. It feels so different, even
Yeah.
just riding in it.
Especially where
I
we
never
drive.
had a real shit. I
Yeah.
never had the engine behind me before.
Where we drive up there, it's so nice. The engine's in the back, and we keep the windows down, so it's almost quiet.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're just kind of like gliding through the canyons because the sound is behind you.
Yeah.
It's neat.
It's a
Different
great car.
experience.
There's no argument there. I mean, I can't.
Stop saying it's not a good car. Just kidding.
We'll talk off the mic.
You're awesome.
Thank you.
All right. Was there anything else you wanted to hit today?
No, aside from maybe a shameless plug.
Yeah, no, we definitely want that. All right, Billboard. How do we find you? How do we keep up with your podcast, social media, all the stuff? Let's lay it on us.
Although I'm trying to look at my phone less and less these days, I still post on Instagram a lot because that's really kind of what feeds the show. So
where it
if
goes.
So if you want to find me on Instagram, it's Road Stories at Road Stories Mike. You have to remember to throw
Road
that
Stories
at in
Mike.
there, or else people panic.
Just like the front of the show, if anybody is confused by that.
Totally, yes. My show's pretty much available everywhere. It's on YouTube, it's on iTunes, it's on every medium that there is for podcasts.
All the usual podcast places.
Yeah. And it is so THE, the Road Stories podcast.
Oh, I was not
Yes.
aware of that.
So interesting.
Because your Insta is just Road Stories Mike.
Right.
Okay, but the actual show is The Road Stories.
The Road Stories podcast. That's the full name of the show.
Wow.
Because there's actually another
TRS.
Road Stories podcast, and it's just called Road Stories. And I was very unhappy with that, so I had to tweak things
Yeah.
to make it
Good job.
workable.
Well, at least you know the marketing side.
Little
You
bit.
know that's important.
A little bit, yeah. Well, I have a graduate degree in that. I have to, or else.
Our YouTube page had, a nondescript whatever the heck for a year.
Mine still
We
does.
finally broke 1,000 or whatever, and then
Yeah.
you could, make it whatever, so it's Porsche Life now.
Totally.
So
Yeah.
funny. Well, thanks for
Evolution.
being here, man. I can't wait to talk to you more.
Thank you. Thank you
Why
for
don't
having
we
me.
know each other? Like, why don't we see each other at events and stuff? Have we ever been at the same place and we just haven't said hello? Like, do you go to car events and stuff?
I do, but I mostly stick to kind of like
Exotic?
just going into the canyons and driving by myself.
Well, that's us too, but then maybe, honk.
Yeah.
Honk if you ever see us.
Yeah, totally. You guys are in the yellow 997,
Yeah,
right?
and you're in the blue SI.
Blue
We'll
SI.
look for each
There
other.
you go. Yeah, I'm like in Calabasas, and I stick to the Malibu hills and things like that. So,
You go there.
but yeah,
Did you fare okay, you and your family, during all of the fires and now mudslides?
yes.
Okay.
We're fine. Thank you
Thank
very much
God,
for
yeah.
asking. Yeah.
My dad was a firefighter, so we follow all of that. Anytime there's something like that, we just follow it so closely. For some reason, it's like an attachment. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like, there's
yeah,
a
makes
gravity
sense.
to it, and I'm like, oh, I don't know what's up.
Totally. Yeah. It sucked. It really sucked. I mean, for the first
You had
time.
to evacuate, I'm assuming.
Yeah, 5 days we were out. Yeah, and I live like half a mile away from my parents. So both my parents, myself, my brother and my sister-in-law. My sister, I kind of call her my sister, but they're in Grenada for medical school. And he's there. He's working remotely from there, so it's a really cool kind of setup that they have there. And they were ironically telling us more about what was going on because they were able to look online and just.
Oh wow!
Yeah, and we were just kind of
in
the
you
dark.
had no access, right?
Yeah, we
Gee
were
whiz, that's
evacuated
crazy.
for 5 days, which is absolutely
crazy.
nutty. But everything's great. Everything's safe.
Really glad
just
you're
a little
back
smoky.
and everything's okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
But thank you for asking. Really appreciate
Awesome.
that.
I can't wait to see you again, whether it's out on the canyons or here or on your show.
Yeah.
Likewise, I'm gonna have you guys on.
Oh, I'd
Awesome.
love to.
It's gonna be fun.
Yeah, I
Cool.
think I just invited myself. That might have been an accident, but I'm in.
That works too. That works
How
really
it
well.
goes.
Mrs. Ryan, let's see. Who do we have tomorrow?
Comedian, I think.
Oh, Dylan Brody.
Dylan Brody.
Oh, boy, that's weird. Our first guest named Dylan this week.
Oh, weird.
I know. Dylan McKay died.
Yeah.
This is a weird side note, but you know that's one of the reasons I got into Porsche too. There was a Letterman thing, but you remember
Him?
there was a 902 episode. Well, he always drove a 356 in the show. I'm fake.
I
one, I'm
wasn't
sure.
allowed to watch the show.
And then there was one where he bought a 964 when they first came out. And it was a whole deal, and he drove it up, and he got carjacked at the end. Spoiler alert. The original 910 from 1990. All right, Dylan Brody will be here tomorrow. He's a comedian, yeah?
Yes.
Awesome. And then Friday, we're back at Breakfast Club. Short week.
Yeah.
Nice. Awesome.
Cool.
I love you very much, Mrs. Ryan. We love you very much, Michael. Thank you very much
Yeah,
for
I love you
coming.
guys
Good
too.
to see
Thanks
you.
so much. You guys are awesome.
Appreciate it. And we love everybody at home. Love one another. And we will see you tomorrow.
Bye, guys.
That was so cool. That was so cool. Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. This is an interesting experience.